So right before you touch that dial, I want you to stay glued to the screen because we have everything related to fintech being discussed on today's episode. We have a beautiful and exemplary guest that is going to take us through around everything you need to learn about the fintech space. But here on My World Podcast, not only are we going to be discussing fintech, but we also discuss everything related to investments, savings, and everything economic analysis, and also host exemplary guests that helps you and I navigate the high-level discussions. So our guest today, like I mentioned earlier, is an expert in the fintech industry, and him and his team are award-winning individuals. Why? Because they're championing the fintech conversation, the mobile money conversation right here in Zambia. Who else than Komba Malukutila to have this conversation with us? He's CEO of Mobile Money, MTN, right here in Zambia. Komba, welcome to My World Podcast.
Thank you very much, Lyapa. Really appreciate you hosting me and the team on your show. When I was called to these premises for this discussion, the team and I were very elated. So thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And is it too late to say Happy New Year?
I guess
yes.
I actually drive it by whether you've seen someone or not in the new year.
Yes.
So being it the first time we've seen each other this year, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm sure you have some great plans for the new year, for the business, even just on a personal level.
That's right.
Yeah. I know you're very big on just making sure that everything is done right.
Yes.
And done well.
They try.
Yeah. So we'll jump into the critical conversation, the serious conversation in a bit. But I'd like to know a bit more about you as Komba. Yes. Who is Komba? What do you like to do? Yeah.
All right. No, thanks so much, Lyapa. What you see is what you get with Komba. Hey? I am born and bred on the Copper Belt.
Okay.
I came to Lusaka a little over, 18 years ago. Straight from school with a backpack and a dream.
Oh, wow.
And the dream was really just to make a difference, to make an impact. But an impact not so much for me, but for other people. And whilst I appreciate my upbringing on the Copper Belt because that's what centers me and gave me the firm foundation that I stand on now, I needed to come to the big apple of Zambia, sorting opportunities. I did my education here. I have a degree in computer science that I did between ZICAS and the University of Greenwich in the UK. After that, I did a short stint at an exhibition firm called Africast. Quickly after that, I got into MTN. So others may argue that I got into MTN straight from uni.
Yes.
And I've worked for MTN Zambia now for 14 years. So it's a 14-year-old career between telecoms and fintech. I started out as an intern within the organization. And in between that, we managed to rise to CEO. So it's been a very gratifying career serving the people of Zambia through telecoms as well as fintech. I now hold the position of CEO, Managing Director, FinTech. And really what we look after is MTN Mobile Money.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is me on the technical side.
Yes.
And outside that, I am a dad of two lovely boys,
Oh, wow.
Noah and Lukundo.
Okay.
And so when I'm not working for MTN, I am looking after my sons.
It's a full-time job. Two full-time jobs.
Full-time job. You can take a wild guess at which one takes more of my time.
The younger one.
That's right.
The younger one. I like to believe they're always naughty. I'm a firstborn.
Yeah.
And I can
And
attest.
so am I.
So are you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Like siblings, it's always one thing after the other. It's one thing after the
That's
other.
right.
And
They're always trying to fight for space.
yes. And you have to be the deputy parent.
That's right.
For you who's actually the first-hand parent, I can only imagine. So I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Just to get to know you even a bit more
Yeah.
better. Yeah. So you can't think twice.
Okay.
You have to give me the answer right from the top
Let's
of your
go.
head. Yes. Question number 1. What is the most played song on your playlist?
Ooh. Well, right now,
Yes, right now.
my favorite artist at the moment this week, because it changes every week.
Okay.
So there's so much things going on.
Yes.
But I've been very centered on CC Winehouse. I
Wow.
play her every morning on my way to the gym. I think my team are also feeling a little bombarded.
Yes.
They're listening to this right now. They'll tell you I'm sharing CC Winer's songs in the morning. And there is one called "The Goodness of God."
Yes. That's a
That
beautiful
song
song.
just
That's
centers
a
me,
beautiful
and I
song.
can play it over and over again. So I just love that at the kickstart of my day. It gets a
Okay.
little bit hectic with
Yes.
house music as we settle into the latter part of the day,
Yes.
because I love to have a good time.
Yes.
But for the start of my day, always CC Winers.
You just want to start it.
Just in that
Meditating,
zen,
just take it in.
centering on the
Yes.
things of God.
Amen to that. Okay. Name the most impossible thing on your bucket list.
Shoo, that's an interesting one. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yes.
Wow.
Nothing.
Now that
Because
is
at
a
the
life
point at
lived to the
which,
full.
oh yes,
Yes.
at the point at which it becomes impossible, I don't want to touch it. So the truth of the matter is nothing. Nothing is impossible on my bucket list.
I love
We're
that.
going for it all. I believe life is for the living. And if we're going to live this life, we've got to go and achieve those things that sit on the other side of fear.
Oh.
So I always try as much as possible to go for those things that are deemed impossible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am today if I was afraid of the impossible. Life is about taking chances.
I like that.
Yeah.
If it's the minute it becomes impossible,
It's not
I don't
worth
want to touch it.
I don't want to touch it.
Okay. Okay. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Interesting. If I knew I couldn't fail, I would do nothing. Okay.
Explain.
I'm going to explain
Yeah.
that to you. So, the truth of the matter is, the idea is not to fear failure. The idea is to exhibit a character that knows how to pick up pieces in the light of failure. Because we're all going to fail at some point.
And I think that's what we're most scared of. yeah.
Absolutely. So, the idea is to not be afraid of fear, to build an attitude and a character that is able to handle failure. Because failure in life is guaranteed. And failure in itself is not failure. It's where lessons are learned. The idea is, how quickly do you pick up when you hit the ground to the top?
Nice.
Because you're going to fail. It's guaranteed. Otherwise, you don't learn.
Really?
So I'll do everything. Otherwise, if failure was guaranteed, and you were afraid of it, then what's the point of doing life?
In the first place.
Exactly. So build these characters that are able to handle failure, because we're guaranteed of those lessons in life.
Okay. No, I really like that. Like, I'll do nothing.
Exactly.
Like, because then I don't want it easy.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want easy. I don't want something that comes, it just comes on a silver platter. I want the
Exactly.
challenges. I want the
Exactly.
lessons that come with
Exactly.
it.
And-
I want to take 2 steps back sometimes and look at it from a different angle. I want all of it so
Absolutely.
that
You
at
want
the
to
end
take
of
it all in, because that is what molds character. It's what
Yes.
builds who we are.
Yes.
Is the ability to face failure in the face and say, look, we are where we are, but
Yes.
we're still going up.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ish, I love that. I promise you, I've never looked at it from that point of view. Why do you get up in the morning?
We spoke about it a little earlier.
Yes.
Its impact,
Yeah.
and making a change. We are born to be that. And I think we are all uniquely born with different abilities and capabilities. And every time people experience you, you must be able to leave people feeling a little better than they were before. I tend to shy away from people who don't make me feel good about myself. And I think protecting that energy is very critical. But likewise, we must always be a people that wake up and say, how much better can I impact? You woke up today to impact so many Zambians using this platform, and you deliberately curated and created an environment that everybody can feel seen
Yeah.
using your show. And so
I
that's
like
what
that.
wakes me
That
up every
actually
day.
makes me feel so good. Thank you. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you taking
Yeah,
it
like,
in?
I am taking it in. I learned this for the first time. Like, it's a saying that I learned for the first time. It should have been like 2-3 days ago. And it said, be the kindest person you know.
Absolutely.
Like, be the kindest
Yeah.
person, it kind of puts you in check
Absolutely.
on a day-by-day basis.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, so what do I have to do other than expecting it from the
Yeah,
other person,
yeah.
other than expecting the world
Absolutely.
to fold to you?
Absolutely.
But then what are you doing for the next
To
person?
create that environment of kindness, because the world is full of opposite. The world teaches us
Yes.
that when we wake up, we must be tough, we must be strong, and we must endure. But I always say, the most complex problems have the simplest of solutions.
Nice.
And just a little empathy when you wake up in the morning for the next person, you're already making a difference.
Oof. Yes, please. I hope someone learned something just right there.
We're going, Lyapa, we're
Okay.
going.
So the last 3 questions need to be answered back to back.
Okay.
When last did you do something for the first time?
Today, I came on the show. I've
Smart.
never been interviewed by you.
Smart. What has been your best purchase this year?
Ooh, that's gonna be a little materialistic.
No, say it out loud.
It's
Say
a
it out
car.
loud. It's a
Last
car?
week.
Really?
Yes.
Do you like it?
I do, and this is very personal for me.
Yes.
Because I haven't had an opportunity to own a new car in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Because I've been investing in my children and making sure that all that is lined up for them, and making sure that I'm investing for my extended family.
Yeah.
I was building our home, managed to finish and move in last year.
Congratulations.
So there was not a lot of disposable income
Yeah.
left to be able to purchase something like a vehicle. So I've driven the same car for the last 5 years.
Okay.
And last year, I call my car's she, right? So she was getting buggered up by the end of the year.
Yes.
And I had an accident with it
Oh.
and so on and so forth. So I was like, you know what? I need a new car. So saved up a little bit from mid-year last year up to now. And yeah, I managed to buy a new car. So I'm excited. I'm going to be able to drive it for the first time next week.
Next week. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. What is a fact about you that nobody would guess?
That is an interesting one.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I get a lot of stage fright.
No,
So
not you.
absolutely. So people always see me behind the camera. They'll see me doing interviews.
Yes.
But the truth of the matter is, every time I stand in front of people, I always get that bam in your face. I have to add value, because I'm always so hard on myself. Say, if you're going to be given a platform to speak to people, you've got to add value.
Yeah.
People's time is so precious, and they could be doing many other things other than giving you their attention, be it for 5 minutes, 1 hour. So I'm always saying, how can I add value to the people that I'm in front of today? So I get a lot of stage fright. The only thing that consoles me, even in the face of stage fright, is the fact that when you've been given a topic to speak about, you're an expert at that topic.
Yes.
And you will impart that knowledge. And so you shouldn't be afraid of sharing a little bit of who you are. And the reminder that what people are really there to see is you, not the curated you, not the practice you, but your most authentic self.
Yes.
And in that room, following the 80-20 rule, you're going to impact on the people that really came to listen to you. They don't want anything other than the real you to be presented there. So as soon as I'm like, okay, Komba, bring out the real Komba. This is the person that they came for. Yes, agreed. And then it goes away.
Okay. No, but that's good. I feel it's something to do with humility.
Exactly.
I think I've seen it with people that are humble, but most importantly, people that are meek.
That's right.
So I read this some time back saying meekness is not weakness, it's strength under control.
It is.
So it's the strongest people that know when to be strong and when to bring out that force. And I think because of that, it keeps you humble to say, look, I have the knowledge.
It does.
I'm an expert at this. But also, I'm not speaking here just to show you how smart I am. I'm going to speak here so that you and I can learn together. As a collective. I want you to learn, but also someday I also want to learn from you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I can only know as much as I know, but then also I can learn from you. And
absolutely.
I think those are the most powerful people. I get teased a lot. So I don't talk much. I love to listen. Like I love to.
I've actually observed that about you, to be quite honest. And I see it even with the way you run the money acumen business. It's really a platform for people to come and share what their money struggles are.
Yes.
And almost as though every time you meet your clients, and from what I've heard, you always curate a unique value proposition for that particular client.
Yeah.
It's never a one size fits all.
No,
And so I like what it is that you guys are doing.
Thank you.
In your outfit. From an individual perspective, is very, very encouraging.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're here to talk about the fintech space, something that you're brilliant at. Let's not run it down.
Passionate is the
Yes,
word.
you're very passionate about it. You've been recognized on several occasions.
Thank you.
Different platforms.
Thank you.
And these are different stakeholders looking at you and your team and going, look, they are making a change and it's showing.
Yeah.
Yes. I've seen pictures of you and your team going down to the most remote of
That's
places, trying to get first-hand
That's right.
information about what can you do better. But before we dive into the impact that you're making and everything else behind that, can you explain, maybe for someone that's listening to us and they're hearing fintech for the first time, what is fintech, and more importantly, what is the MTN Momo or MTN FinTech initiative all about?
Thank you for that question, Lyapa. So FinTech is short for financial technology. It's combining traditional finance and tech. And it's really built around creating a platform that users will be able to access financial technology anywhere and everywhere they are, from the convenience of where you are. Traditional banking services were the pioneers of finance on the market, and banking has been in existence for over 100 years. And I think they've done a fantastic job in terms of making sure that as many Zambians as possible, and I'll contextualize it to Zambia, are financially included. Because when you include a society, a people financially, you empower them. You drive the economic landscape of the country forward. But now, obviously, in order for us to scale, to be able to drive financial inclusion to a large extent, we needed technology.
Yeah.
We're never going to be able to reach far-flung areas of Zambia. And I'm talking about proper underserved, off-the-grid areas in the absence of tech. So then came a time for telecom providers, banks, and many other technology providers alike to work collaboratively to build outfits that are called FinTech. So MTN is no exception. 10 years ago, we obtained our payments license through the central bank. So MTN Mobile Money is an entity that is exclusively regulated by the central bank. We are also a separate legal entity from the MTN outfit that you know. So MTN as a business has got a GSM outfit that is run by my colleague Bart Hofka, and he purely focuses on the data and airtime sales of our business. And I look after MTN Mobile Money, which is purely a financial institution. But there's a lot of synergies between us as entities. We ride on MTN's network, we ride on MTN's footprint to be able to take financial services to areas you couldn't even possibly dream of. And so that is the basis and the premise of what FinTech is. Obviously, now we've got multiple FinTech players in Zambia who are really just doing just that. Others are specializing in agriculture, others are specializing in FMCG, other FinTechs are SMEs, really trying to bring traditional products and services down to the common Zambian using technology. That is FinTech.
So you have mentioned something that is highly pertinent, and that's excuse me, that's covering for the unbanked society.
That's right.
What role has the mobile money providers, or maybe as MTN and your team, played in penetrating financial inclusion for especially the low income bracket earner?
That's a very good question, Lyapa. And it's a continuous journey, not an easy one that we took on. So when we launched the mobile money service, it was really a send and receive money service 10 years ago. It was about using our existing infrastructure as MTN. So if you've got a service center here and you've got another one on the Copper Belt, and you've already got established infrastructure.
Yes.
Why can't you be able to send money from the city, like me who came to the city and I left my grandmother
Yes.
on the copper belt? I
Yes.
want to look after her. Oh, grandma, I've sent you some money,
Yes.
but you can go and withdraw it at MTN head office in Kitwe.
Yes.
I'm here. I've sent it from MTN head office in Lusaka.
Yes.
I've sent it to MTN office in Kitwe. I've sent you money. Go and take it. Because we know long time ago, for you to even be able to send money to your granny, you'd put it in an envelope.
An envelope. Go to the
Post office.
Yes.
Send it.
Yes.
Somebody would go. It would
Yes.
take months
Yes.
for her to be able to get that money. Now it's instant.
Yes.
Press a button, she's able to receive. So that demand, the moment we built on that model, the demand became big and big in terms of more and more ability to financially include. Now, when you enable people with the ability to send and receive money, they're not necessarily financially included. You've just created a platform to send and receive money. Financial inclusion actually now stems about creating a platform that you can be able to deposit your money, store it, make payments, save, invest.
Yes.
So now, 10 years on, services like Money Acumen should sit on mobile money.
Yes.
Right?
They should.
You should sit on mobile money. You are asking people to invest in many investment outfits, including savings. Traditional savings for a marketeer in Sinazongwe,
Yes.
for example, who has had never any sight of traditional banking infrastructure. By sight of mobile money and a mobile phone, she's able to save and earn an interest on her saving. She's able to borrow in the morning. This is somebody who never had a business. Go on the mobile money platform, access interest-free loans.
Yes.
So she will borrow, collateral-free loans. She will borrow that money, buy her tomatoes as capital, sell, earn that profit, pay back her loan, and be able to look after her family.
Yes.
At the very basic, in the grassroots, that's what mobile money is doing to enable very underprivileged societies.
As it should be. And it's been, I think this is a conversation that has been going on for a very long time.
That's right.
From both the financial inclusion and the financial literacy space, where everyone is trying to drive this agenda away from the urban areas. Like, look, the individuals that are here already know we have the financial institutions right here. The brick and mortar is here, but then there are places where we don't have these buildings or people live far from their banks.
That's right.
What do we do for them?
Exactly.
Yes. And this now brings me to one of the leaders in mobile money payments, which is M-Pesa.
Yes.
M-Pesa, yeah. So
Yes.
I was reading up on them and the works that they're doing.
The volumes of transactions.
The volumes of transactions. So one statistic I looked at is they're in 10 different countries with over 30 million. It should be more now because that was like a 2021 survey with 30 million subscribers. Do you see MTN mobile money getting to such numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So M-Pesa
Yes.
is the biggest money platform in Kenya.
Yes.
MTN is the biggest mobile money platform in Africa. We have over 50 million active subscribers across the continent, leveraging on our big footprint, of course, from MTN. So yes, we have beat the statistics of the like of Orange, Safaricom, and so on and so forth. But I see it less of like a competitive activity. I see it more of a collaborative one. And that's why FinTech is quite set apart and why it probably need to even sit separate from the GSM business. Because, you know, from the GSM side, you always see, and when I say GSM, it's the airtime sales side of MTN. Is we really focus on who's the biggest, the bigger footprint, and we're bigger than the competition and so on and so forth. But in this other side, we work very collaboratively together. Because the central bank's agenda for financial inclusion is very big, and we work very much in collaboration with them. And we've made a lot of strides. So let me give you some statistics. Zambia's financial inclusion landscape right now is sitting a little under 70%, so it's 69% financially included. We are only 69% of Zambians are financially included. There's a good 31% of them out there that have had zero access to financial services. Zero. So our work in terms of infrastructure investment is big. I'm sure you see the booths and the kiosks and the
Yes.
containers everywhere you go. And even recently, we've even been reprimanded for having spread quite a bit of those materials across the country. But it really stems on the fact that Zambia's population density is very low.
Yes.
So we're a very big country, beautiful, vast country,
Yes.
but the population is not
It's
enough.
quite minimal, yes.
Exactly. So to be able to take services to the last Zambian
Yes.
is very expensive. So we find ourselves investing in a lot of brick and mortar, investing in a lot of booths, kiosks, and so on and so forth to really serve the average Zambian. So on an annual basis, for MTN, for example, we're investing north of 50 million kwacha every year in just infrastructure to be able to take mobile money to the last Zambian. And our intention is really to work closely with the other players as well as the central bank to be able to reach all the 10 provinces and every corner in Zambia where mobile money is concerned.
Stu got his annual bonus and decided to invest it in a side hustle. He took his hard-earned cash and started giving out loans to people he knew and thought he could trust on his own. Weeks later, it was time for people to pay Stu back, but nobody paid him back and Stu lost all his money. Steve, Stu's workmate, also got his bonus and also decided to invest it. But he knew from before that he needed help doing so. Steve heard about PremierCredit's peer-to-peer lending platform, how he could invest in pre-qualified loan applications from people that have proven they could pay back with interest. Weeks later, Steve still has his bonus and is now enjoying the interest payouts. You can invest smart like Steve too. So, be a Steve and not a Stu. Visit premiercredit.co.zm and start investing today. Investments start from as low as 500 kwacha. Terms and conditions apply.
Going past the COVID pandemic, yes, and I know a lot of people don't like to talk about COVID.
Yeah.
It was a terrible time for anyone. But I do know that it kind of accelerated every one of
It
us,
did.
especially because as Africans or just human beings, really, we're more reactive than
It
we
did.
are proactive. How do you feel now that we're in like the post COVID pandemic era? How do you feel COVID came in as quote unquote a blessing in disguise to push the digital transformation agenda that FinTech probably benefited from?
Yeah, no, we didn't waste a good crisis with
Yeah.
COVID. Obviously, tough times and many lives were lost, and I'd like to pay respects to that.
Yeah.
But with that said, what happened, and I remember vividly, it was around this year, around this time, 3 years ago, 2021.
It's already 3 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
just a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When the central bank governor called all the players in FinTech and the banks to the central bank. And the rumors about COVID hitting Zambia any day were very strong. And he said to us, guys, there is a pandemic, it's a worldwide pandemic. And we are all going to have to rise to the occasion. It was Governor Kalialia who called us and he says, you all have to rise to the occasion to do your part to rise to the occasion of COVID. What will we do? You know, I just know that the answers are in this room. And at this point, I don't want to see ABSA from Stanbic, from MTN, from Airtel. I just want to see industry leaders playing a part to rise to the occasion of the pandemic. And we sat around the room and started coming up with solutions. One of the things that we did was zero rate transaction fees because movements will be minimal. And so most payments will be online. And so as a result, you need a situation where people will be able to easily send money from A party to B party, but with no charges. And we opened up our ecosystems and we took a hit from a revenue perspective in order to leapfrog this payments culture. And I saw even in the transport and logistics space, we now have what we call riders in Zambia.
Yes.
Everybody's got a rider.
Yes.
Oh, your rider will deliver this. And,
Yes,
and
yeah.
before then, we
For
didn't have
convenience,
this.
yes.
So there was the logistics side, there was the payment side, and food and beverage side,
Yes.
because now people were able to order from restaurants and food would come to you and so on and so forth. So we all came together as an industry. But one of the things that obviously grew was mobile payments.
Yes.
And it was in the double digits, triple digit percentage growth between then and now where mobile money is concerned. But it was all about collaborative effort and opening up each other's platforms. I mean, mobile money in MTN, I remember pre-COVID, we're sitting a little under 2 million active mobile money subscribers. Now we're way north of 5 million active mobile money subscribers, still scratching the surface for a population of 18 million that we have in Zambia. But there has been quite a bit of work that has gone in there to make sure everybody is included. And I know the competition are doing their fair share of the job. So the statistic in terms of how many mobile money subscribers we have combined as an industry sit well over 10 million in this country.
Which is amazing.
Massive.
Yes.
Massive.
It's over half. It's
Exactly.
actually over half, which is great. So I was looking at, and let me just share these stats with you. So from an industry perspective, and I'm glad that you've actually answered that even before you preempted, before I could ask the question about how you as the mobile money industry are looking at banks branching off from brick and mortar to agency banking now.
$1 million question.
Yes, like is that more of, are you scared like the competition is coming now because they've realized that the MNOs are now doing this very very lucrative, very successful business. Now we want to tap into that, and now we're discarding already. Not only have they tapped into unbanked the unbanked population, but they're also taking in the people that actually do use our banking services.
That's right.
How are you looking at this, like from a mobile money perspective? Competition or collaborations, and which one is a bit more
that's
visible?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It always refers me back to one of my favorite sayings. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yes.
Short side to tell you it's competition. But if you're looking at the long side, the long-term objective of financial inclusion and FinTech is going to require for everybody to come on board, to open up their platforms and to interoperate. All right. This is not so much a revenue game.
Yes.
When you look at it for short-term revenues, we're looking at the 1-year business case. I must have an investment and get my money, investment by January, get your money back by December. Yeah, you're going to look at it as competition. But it is actually complementary. We work very closely with the banks because the banks are banks. They are heavily regulated organizations, quite smart in their approach of work, very detailed and very risk averse.
Yes.
They are not going to be able to take the risks that the FinTech players or the MNOs have the liberty to, because they work in those very controlled frameworks. And we need them to be able to especially reach to the corporates, the larger corporates whose policies and guidelines also require that level of risk averseness. But they also need the MNOs to be able to reach the last customer.
Yes.
Because we deal with volumes and big stats when it comes to customers. So this whole ecosystem needs to interoperate. We need the float and the cash out of the banking ecosystem to come onto the mobile phone to be able to have those transactions moving.
Yeah.
I always say Zambia is not poor. Zambia is financially excluded. And when we have every last Zambian financially included, the economic landscape of this country is just going to catapult.
Now, that's a powerful statement. Yes.
Absolutely. So we need those transactions to move. I need transactions to be able to seamlessly move from your mobile phone into the banks and then from the banks into the mobile phone and in and around amongst each other. So we've done that very well with the banks. Today, we're integrated as MTN with each and every bank in Zambia. You're able to pull money from the banking ecosystem into mobile money and back from your mobile money into the banking ecosystem. And then also, once your money is sitting on your phone, you no longer have to go and withdraw cash and make a payment. Because the moment cash is being used, you're losing transaction memory and transaction information that should be utilized to be able to extend things like facilities and loans to individuals. Whenever you do a cash transaction, you're losing that memory. So
and
the reason
keeping track of your credit score also.
Exactly. You're right on the money. So the key thing is to keep all these payments online so that today, if I want to extend a facility to Lyapa Mbewe, I'm not only using the credit reference bureau or your banking statistics.
Yes.
And that's why banks aren't able to do things like give collateral free loans that we are able to, because we're able to use things like airtime purchase as your statistic, your data usage as a statistic, to be able to extend those facilities to you.
Yes.
So the banks will now come for us for that big data. Say, okay, I'm trying to profile Lyapa for this big facility to be able to blow up her business and invest in her business. But we don't have information sufficient on the banking side. Can we get from the MNOs what her behavioral activities are? And we'll be able to facilitate with that information and then be able to extend those type of facilities. So none of us are mutually exclusive.
Okay, no, then it does make quite a bit of sense with the statistics that I wanted to share with you. So this is 2022, yes. So mobile money payments as of 2022 volumes. Let's look at the values. In total, we're slightly over 295 billion. Yeah, that's in transactions.
Massive.
That's a massive number. It's a very massive number. And okay, when we look at electronic funds transfers between the banks,
Yes.
we're coming, which is both, direct credits and direct debits, are coming to about 115 million.
Absolutely, yeah.
So 115 billion.
That is from the
So,
FinScope survey, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So now the difference speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So FinTech is sitting above 200, almost
Over
almost
100%.
300.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 300, almost 300
Yeah.
billion, and then we're looking at 115
Yes.
from
And
the
still
banking
growing.
sector.
Still
And-
growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
It shows you that interoperability.
Yes.
But it also shows you the amount of information that the FinTechs and the MNOs are sitting with.
yes,
The future of FinTech now, Lyapa, will lie in us now being able to drive statistics like if I go on a mobile platform or a banking platform,
yes,
and I'm trying to predict what type of facility to extend to Lyapa or what she's into, I should be able to use all the data around her to be able to give her a tailor-made service just for her. There should be no question.
Can we even imagine like pre-mobile money, like before, like
Imagine
2010,
that. Yeah.
2010 going down? Like,
yeah.
can we imagine like today?
What life was. It's so crazy.
Because everything it's right at the tip
It's
of your hands.
right at the tip
Yes,
of your
yeah.
hands. So big data is really the differentiator. And I don't want to preempt your questions, but maybe as we go on, I'll be able to expand a little bit more on the benefits of big data and how we're going to be able to benefit from the future of FinTech.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing that I wanted to find out is, in as much as we will talk about the good stuff, we'll talk about the great works that you're doing. This hasn't come short of challenges.
Of course.
We've heard. I've personally seen it. We've had challenges of scammers. We've
Yes.
had. Well, that's only what
Tough.
we can see.
Absolutely.
Yes. But then also from like a business end, what challenges have you faced
Yeah.
in this whole new FinTech arena?
Yeah, no, very fast-paced arena on its own is a challenge.
Yeah.
Because you need agile teams to
Yes.
be able to meet the demand and the expectations of our customers. The product is growing, whether you like it or not. Consumers are coming for mobile money and they want their service when they want it, how they want it. It must work.
Yes.
So it's the investment, obviously, from a CapEx perspective. It's very capital intensive. And most times you invest in long term.
Yeah.
We invested in mobile money for over 5 years before we could turn profits.
Really?
Oh yes. There was a lot of heavy lifting in the
Yes.
beginning, building those distribution networks, building the infrastructure in far-flung areas for us to be able to be there, acquiring the right level of talent. This is one that is undermined but is so critical.
Can we
FinTech
not leave our trust, like earning trust of people
Absolutely,
actually?
yeah, and people being like, what is this platform?
Yes.
And so hard. And then obviously the bigger one that you're talking about, which is the scammers, because as and more the industry goes, the fraud industry is also a whole separate industry that is getting established
Yes.
out there. And from time to time, different industries are hit by this. But what I like very well is also the regulator is very supportive. So Bank of Zambia, the FIC, the DEC, all working collaboratively together to be able to help us to be more proactive in our controls and our approach towards fraud. So there's been a lot of support from a government perspective also in building these outfits, but it changes every day and the methods change all the time. The big weapon and the secret to fighting fraud is customer education. Going on the ground. I mean, today finally that when you see a strange number calling you and they want you to transfer money from your mobile money, you're not going to do that. But there's still vulnerable people out there who haven't had access to this information, this training, this education that we still need to reach to make sure that they're able to secure their environments and their phones and their personal monies from fraud. So working very closely together where that is concerned.
Okay. So we've heard whispers, not only from like a Zambian perspective, but anywhere where you find fintech of any sort or mobile money of any sort, we might be getting into a place rather of stringent KYC. Yes. So part of the reason why everyone is running away from the bank is you have to bring in documentation. For you to open a bank account. And I can simply, even if I don't have a smartphone, I can simply use my USSD code and I have access to mobile money. The KYC part, is it going to be almost like an impediment of some sort? Because listen, it's a whole other process. Even for me who would say I'm financially included or financially literate, I don't want walking up to MTN, bringing in my documentation because they're saying, you know what, Lyapa, for you to continue using the services, we need ABCD from you. How does that look in the future?
How does it look now? It's tough. So again, Zicta really on this matter. I think we all have to work together collaboratively as an industry to get bare minimum KYC of our users. It helps the cybersecurity narrative that you spoke about earlier, that at the bare minimum, anyone who is financially included or is sitting on your platform should be able to trace down to who they are. All right. What we have just leveraged technology is the ease of obtaining that KYC. So now I'm sure with the SIM registration rush, and I'm sure you've been seeing communication in the media, there's a deadline for us to be able to get all the information from our subscribers. Otherwise, they risk being disconnected. That is a good venture because at the end of the day, you need that cleaned up KYC to be able to transact on the mobile money platform. But compared to the way it was done before, you can now, using a link, upload your information, take a selfie, upload that information, update your details. MTN will receive it. They will vet it and make sure they store your KYC. So from a click of a button at the comfort from your home, you submit your KYC. Or if you're not, we've also got quite many distribution centers that will be able to capture that information. So we've made that process a little easier. But at the end of the day, bare minimum for your entry-level account, get that facial capture, make sure you've got your ID attached.
Okay. So as we bring this to a close, we're still at it. You did make mention of big data and all this data that you're collecting on behalf of the clients and on behalf of the business, of course. What should we expect from a fintech perspective? I'll tell you one thing that I'm excited about is the easy access to things like insurance on your phone. Investments on your phone. I've seen most MNOs, most platforms have brought out even village banking on your phone, and there's so much going on. So it's those type of collaborations for me that I'm excited about. But away from that, what should we expect from MNOs?
So
or from mobile money?
It's gonna get interesting. I think it already has started. Things like microinsurance are being born. So you no longer have to go into brick and mortar to be able to obtain insurance services. Our sister business, Ayo Insurance, is one that has done exponentially well. I remember we opened up Ayo Insurance a little over 2 years ago in Zambia. They are now sitting at over 2 million active insurance policies in this country.
Wow.
Massive. And it's the little premiums, because insurance was always
and if I'm not mistaken, IO does cater to the low
Yes.
income earner.
That-
It's
yeah,
actually
it's the
not for
low-
like the medium
Exactly.
and high end. Yeah.
and insurance was always very elitist in the mind of the customer.
Yes.
But now for little premiums, as low as 1 kwacha, you're insured, against death, health issues, accidents, and so on and so forth. We've got a new product called Family Cover that covers you and your entire family. And this is for little subscriptions. So when you're buying your airtime, your phone will ask you, do you want to add an additional 1 kwacha towards your insurance policy? Yes, and someone is already insured. And then when it comes to your claim, within 24 hours, you just take a picture of where you are or your situation. The team in the back office receive it, and they release your premium, and you're covered.
Oh,
That ease, that affordability is
That's
what is making the
convenience,
difference.
yes.
Exactly. So big data and insurance is just one flavor of it. I'm looking forward to, I know you love to shop, Lyapa.
Yes.
And
I can't believe I said that out loud, but it was right there. Yes.
but yeah, big data today, have you ever noticed how, and don't ask me how it happens, but I know it does happen, that you'll be on the phone having a conversation about
Please,
fashion
no.
and lipstick
That
and
is
hair,
scary.
and then suddenly you're scrolling
What
and
is
it's
happening to
fashion
the
and
algorithm?
lipstick
Yes.
and hair.
Yes.
You're like, is someone overhearing my
Yes.
conversations?
I need to set up for this, because that happens quite a number of
Quite,
times.
and you're like, what's
I
going
need
on?
to know, like, what is going on? Yes.
Exactly. But yeah, that is the power of big data. And to be able to exist in an app and an environment and not have to come out of it to make a payment.
Yes.
You're making payments on the go. And we've got a service called Momo Pay, which now we launched a year ago, which is pretty much payments via mobile money.
Yes.
That everywhere you go, you don't withdraw your money, but you make a payment within the ecosystem. And from last year, we started with a little over 5,000 active merchants. These are store owners, shop owners, small and big. Now we're at 125,000 active merchants who have registered their business and created mobile money as a payment method. Because people don't want to deal with cash.
Oh, wow.
So in summary, cash is the enemy. It's not the competition or the different players that are playing in this market.
Yes.
We all need anyone, for me, who's doing online payments, e-payments, is a friend of mine. The enemy is anyone who's handling bouts and multitudes of cash. So it's exciting what the future holds, but we have got a lot of work to do in terms of getting more and more Zambians financially included and being able to make e-payments.
Do you have any plans for us in 2023? What plans do you and your team have in relation to the fintech space, or even just as a business?
Yeah.
We've seen you've been busy.
We are.
Yeah.
We're still busy with the basic stuff,
Yeah.
number one, which is making sure that everybody is included. So still a lot of opportunity to expand our infrastructure. So rolling out sites, rolling out more containers in far-flung areas and so on and so forth. Because Lusaka is not Zambia. I had
I've
the
heard you
privilege
say
of,
that before.
I say it quite a
Yes,
bit.
yeah. I've heard
because
you say that before.
Here, it's a little comfortable. But when you take a drive up north or east or south, and you start to go into the far-flung areas, the villages, you realize what little access the average Zambian is. And at MTN, we believe everybody deserves the benefits of a modern, connected life. It is not a privilege anymore. It's a right. And as a result, we have to really invest, especially in the far-flung areas. We have got a responsibility to make sure that every Zambian is catered for. So it may seem a little slow from the outside in, and when people are complaining about the network is not working, not able to access your service, the engineers, they're at work, the teams, they're at work, and their mandate is very simple: touch each and every Zambian with access to financial technology. So we are on this fintech matter. We obviously have got big plans for people like you, the growing SMEs and people who are trying to make a difference. How can we make these things a whole lot more collaborative?
Yes.
I'd really like to come into your environment, understand how your business works. How can we support you a little bit more, reach more Zambians? We have got the platforms, we've got the subscribers. We want to position you a little bit better and stronger to be able to drive your business. So we believe we cut across many spheres and many industries, and would like to do our part in helping Zambians get ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for those words. And I'm sure everyone does appreciate that. Yeah. And clearly you do live by your tagline everywhere you go.
Everywhere.
Everywhere you go, like you will find us, but not only will you find us providing a service, you'll find us here for you.
For you.
Yes. Like tell us what you want.
Yeah.
We'll find
we'll
a way.
We'll do more for you.
We'll do more for you.
That's
and I think that's what we need now.
Yeah.
Like we've mentioned, we're trying to work from a more proactive perspective than a reactive perspective. So the more we can do upfront so that disasters or crisis don't find us lagging behind, the better for us.
Absolutely.
I don't think we need another COVID to help us.
To tell us to,
Yeah. And like you mentioned, you are growing bigger by the day, and you are bigger than M-Pesa combined.
Yes, we are.
We can only wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this platform.
Coming.
Really, really appreciate it.
Yes.
It's been such an interesting conversation. You've reminded me of the work that we do, because every time we're busy doing this thing, and when you're stopped and you're asked some of these questions, you realize how much work the team is putting in place and how much more still needs to be done. So thank you for holding us accountable.
No, we're looking forward to all the work. We're looking forward. I'm personally looking forward to all the work, because I know that you guys keep working and you keep working. But most importantly, congratulations to you and your team for everything that you've done. And thank you for coming on My World Podcast.
Thank you so much.
That has been Komba from MTN Momo FinTech. And he's been amazing with his wealth of experience and everything that him and his team are doing for the community where you and I exist in. So thank you so much for joining us. So you can catch My Work Podcast on all podcast platforms, including Apple. You can find it on Google Podcasts. You can find it on Podbean, Spotify,